do you want to start off with, what Art Rapture is and, I guess kind of like what got it started? And then maybe a little
Sure.
bit of both of your backgrounds?
Yeah. So I'll kind of kick it off with like a quick intro, Art Rapture. I'll probably introduce myself, then Art Rapture, and then there's some synergy between Ryan and I in terms of how all this stuff kicked off, and then I'll pass it to him to intro him, and then we'll just get fired away.
Awesome.
So you let me know when you're ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, shoot, shoot.
Awesome. Cool. So, hey everyone, if you're tuning in, my name is Paul Becker, Chief Curator and founder of Art Rapture. Excited to be here on this podcast with Dan Savage. Savage Talks. Pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie, this is actually popping my podcast cherry here. I've never been on a podcast before, so pretty stoked to have this firing up. I'm based in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Sitting in my sort of home office, work from home setup here with a bit of an art gallery around me. How did Art Rapture get started? In Vancouver, we've got a really good local art scene, but there was something always missing in the space here when I'd go to art events and group shows. And I really wanted to bring a bigger flavor to the market here for more significant artists in terms of international space, but then really unique pop-up spaces and have live DJs and bars and really crank it up. And the inception of Art Rapture happened in 2016. We had a 15-person group exhibition. We rented a space for 3 days. I brought in a construction team. We built a bunch of walls. I wanted to have that flavor of like shipping containers. So we actually built like these, metal shipping container walls throughout the gallery, posted up some incredible art. By trade, I'm actually an auctioneer, then curator and dealer. And my man Watson, who you see here, who's in northern Quebec right now and can't get the strongest video feed, Ryan Watson actually trained me as an auctioneer in, of all places, Southfield, Michigan. Oh man, that must have been like 15 years ago. And also trained my wife, and we didn't know each other then. And a few years later, my wife and I got married after knowing each other. So thanks to Ryan Watson, I am now living here with my wife, and I got 2 kids upstairs. So back to Art Rapture, we did that show, was a huge success, blew up, and then we did a second large show the next year. We brought, I don't know if some of your listeners know, but Okuda San Miguel from Spain, one of the largest street artists in the world. And he came to Vancouver, and we got a mural for him here in Vancouver, and then also brought some of his artwork, and we sold a bunch of that as well, along with 14 other artists. So it really started to take off, and you could see that there was a gap and a desire for art fans to have this type of experience. And from there, Art Raptures just developed into curating and fostering some younger artists and helping them succeed, and then putting on solo exhibitions for them, and then also working with established artists doing solo exhibitions for them. And then we ventured into a print publication side of the business, which is called Rapture Editions, where we do really high quality, limited edition, more analog style prints. So we don't get involved much in like G-clay printing and digital printing on paper. We sort of import, BFK Reef paper from France and get, all analog done, really tight editions, and foster that real sort of quality and exclusivity at the core of what Art Rapture is. We love to put our collector first, because the best way to support artists is by having collectors acquire their work. Mm-hmm. And so we don't sort of have this sort of philosophy of just like doing things to support the art. My sort of philosophy as a collector of art myself is think of the collector and what they want. They want exclusivity, and they want quality, and they want it at value. Mm. And that's where Art Rapture comes in, where we think about that first, work with great artists, produce great quality events and artwork, and then we sell like mad.
Yeah.
And then the artists are happy because their work sells. And it's an interesting journey now, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but, transferring and bridging that gap between the physical world of art and now into that digital space and NFTs. And we're just excited and pumped about this whole movement, and really stoked so far in terms of what we've seen. So that's sort of a brief on Art Rapture and myself, Paul Becker. I'll sort of pass the mic to Ryan Watson to do a brief intro as well.
Real quick, just before you get started. So the Okuda San Miguel, just to make sure that I actually bring up the right piece, it's the geometric pattern for like a couple of bears, right? Is that
You
that's the
you
piece?
got it. You
Okay,
got it.
I'm just gonna pop that up so people can kind of see that because that's actually awesome. It's like
Cool.
a really cool. I love colorful. I've kind of spoken to this like a little bit, but I love colorful artwork. So like that to me is awesome. I would definitely buy a print. And then in terms of the printing, you actually have a picture in the NLM print release of you guys actually doing the work, and I assume somebody signing it, like the
Yeah,
artist
so that's
possibly.
actually iHeart signing it.
Okay.
He likes to stay a little down low,
Mm,
kind of anonymous in terms of what he does, because
yeah.
to be frank, a lot of the street pieces he creates aren't approved,
Mm,
and some of them are approved. He's done a lot of great work for what's called Vancouver Mural Fest
mm.
locally here in Vancouver, where obviously it's fully vetted by the city and everything like that, but. He still hits that underground flavor and likes to stay anonymous. And I asked him if he wanted to be on this podcast, and he's like, "Nah, man, I don't do interviews."
Understandable. I just wanted to pull that up so that way people could see it, like that you guys are making it in house, which I think is phenomenal. I think
Yeah.
from talking to like not boss, like this guy Cornelius, Domrick, he was talking about how like he has such an issue with just quality control and then times of shipping it out, and like if you guys are doing it in house, you guys source
Mhm.
everything. Obviously, that's not something that like one art. It takes a team, but it is something where like offering that really just takes that quality up to that next level. So that's awesome.
100%.
Yeah. So Watson, sorry to
Yeah, and
cut
I
you off.
think when you, yeah, no, never, man. No, that's great, man. It's just about engaging in the conversation about all this. Listening to a lot of guests you've had on this show, and just in general talking with artists, being part of the NFT community on Twitter alone is just like such a cool learning experience about how artists are feeling about this wave of engagement and participation and sharing and all this kind of stuff. And it just it makes it exciting. It really makes it fun where Paul's talking about it all the way to the point of the business, and when we talk about the reason why we're reporting this paper is like, you want that quality. So the collector, like people always say, like, how much is your art? Like, what does that mean? Like an artist that takes 10 seconds to do something or an artist that takes 300 hours to do it. Like, who's to say one's 10E and one's 1E? And like, well, the one's been doing it a long time.
Oh, yeah. Northern Quebec LTE is not treating Ryan so well, so he might pop in and out.
No 5G up there. Oh, you're back.
Oh, there he's back. He's back.
Oh, sorry, did that cut out?
Yeah, you cut out for a half second.
Yeah, you're coming in a little wavy, man.
Sorry, boys and ladies. I'm in, like Paul said, I'm in kind of northern Quebec. I'm from Ottawa, where I'm happening and living my life. But right now, I'm helping out a friend, and there's deer all around me. I've had to find signal, and it's pretty funny. But I wanted to be here for it. So, but all that to say, I think when you provide a quality product, price is irrelevant. It's can you get it? I want to be able to get it. I want to collect the artists that I love for the price I can afford, but can I actually get one? And in NFT, we're finding with the right established artists that are in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think I just sent him a text. I'll probably take a lot of the questions here just because then we don't have to worry about the wavy sound.
All right, all good. I guess I totally agree with a lot of what he's saying. Where like the space is perfect, right? I guess like what to start with like ground one, right? Like or level one, right? Like how did you just decide that you had to start doing art rapture? Like, are you an artist yourself too that you were looking for the
question.
space?
It's a good question. So that actually leads to like the reason, Watson and I know each other. So he trained me to be an auctioneer, and we did this like wild gig where we would sell art on cruise ships. And, I was an auctioneer working for a company there, and we sold a lot of really awesome stuff. And there's a lot of, I'll be honest, not so great stuff as well. But what that fostered was this massive passion for art in me. And, where I'd get really jacked up was we were selling legitimate, authentic, hand-signed Picasso etchings, Rembrandt etchings. Like I'd hold up in a frame an old 350-year-old Rembrandt etching that the paper is 350 years old and was literally pulled from his copper plate and creating artwork for me to talk about and do seminars and enjoy. And I came back to Vancouver after about 4 years doing that. Again, met my wife. she's from South Africa. We did a little stint in South Africa and then came to Vancouver. And I started doing seminars and meeting a bunch of people. And Art Rapture came out of me just seeing that, hey, I'm super passionate about art. The shows I'm going to are okay. Nothing's really blowing it off the top and giving that real LA, New York, London flavor. And so we just wanted to assemble a team of people and artists that could really foster that, wild, fun experience with collecting and exclusivity and quality at the core. And it just sort of took off from there. So for me, it's just an inner passion of mine. It's what probably the most exciting thing for me is in my career in art is taking friends that are like, I'd never spend $1,000 on a work of art. Like that's crazy. And, they've got, Winners Home Sense or Bed Bath and Beyond art on their wall. And it's like, pretty fucking mental, right? Like a house is not a home until you have fine art on the wall. And so they'd come to my events and my seminars and I'd breathe this sort of passion about artwork out to them and they get hooked.
Yeah.
And all it takes is to buy one work of art. That's, you might maybe a couple $100, but then you start getting into that like 1,000 plus range and you start getting excited because when you're sort of evolving your collection. So we have 2 core philosophies at Art Rapture. 1, love your collection. 2, evolve your collection. Number 1 is only acquire what you like, what you love, and you'll never make a bad decision. The second one is evolve your collection. So when you find what you like, what you love, take it to the next level. So let's hypothetically say you're collecting prints by an artist you like, and you're spending a few $100 there. Then your goal is to get an original one of a kind by that artist. So that's the whole evolution of collecting. And when my friends who have said they'd never spend money on art actually acquire a work of art that maybe was a little bit of a stretch for their budget, they actually become more passionate about the work. They care about it more. They want to show it off. They want to feel it and admire it on their wall. And those same people that said they'd never spend any money on artwork are now addicted, like legitimately addicted. And they can't wait till my next event. They can't wait for Art Rapture to put on a show. They can't wait for another solo show because they want to go collect something more. And it's pretty awesome. And that gives me like the most pleasure out of everything is just taking that person who didn't understand art, helping them understand it, because art is communication. Art's been around before scripture. Art is inherent in our DNA as human beings to communicate outwards. And when you see a great work of art, it hits you with emotion. And when they feel that emotion, they now know and understand, and they don't go spend their money on crap anymore.
Yeah. So yes, like, so that's like a boss logic. This is like very beginning. Like, I think I ordered this in like December and like super beginning, super early on, like I don't even think Boss Logic had dropped the pieces that he had dropped on Nifty Gateway at this point. I obviously like am super new into like the space at that point, and that piece was up on his Instagram. And like to me, like I grew up playing like TMNT, right? Like on like the 4-person arcade game, right? Like one person was the blue one, like whatever. Like that was just like my memory as a kid. And so I loved like TMNT, like the video games, the TV shows, everything. And so I had to have that. And then another guy dropped like a Biggie drop, and so then I started doing that. And now I have like 2 more prints in the mail, and like you said, right? Like it like taking off. I actually
love it.
Bob Ross had his TV show, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I go to my girlfriend. I'm like, fiance now, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I want to buy like a Bob Ross, like or get like a print, something, right? And so I hadn't even Googled it, but I said it to her. And then I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed. I'm like, motherfucker, like I'm getting an ad like this, like your phone's definitely listening to you. Like I used to work in digital advertising. It's definitely listening to you 100%. But I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see a Bob Ross painting and I'm like, you motherfuckers. My friend started painting and I picked up 2 of his Bob Ross style paintings. And so like, it was just like, so
that's awesome, man. It's funny you mentioned that. It's totally off topic, man. But my best memory of Bob Ross is, I don't know if you've ever been to like a rugby sevens event. It's absolutely massive. Everyone dresses up. And Vancouver's held it for like 4 years. And the first rugby sevens event I went to, and I kind of double for like a Captain Picard. So I was dressed up as Pitbull one year and Captain Picard the next year. And I'm in this section, and next to me is 30 people all dressed like Bob Ross, women and men, short jean shorts and like jean shirts and the big afro, and then they'd have a little palette, right? And every time a player would score a try at rugby sevens, they'd all stand up, get their little paintbrush, and be like, absolutely epic. Totally off topic, but it was just a good memory.
Waiting on you to come back. Oh,
so can you guys hear me? No?
Gotcha. Kind of.
You can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
So what I was just going to say about the Bob Ross piece, I don't know if you guys noticed, but 2 weeks ago, Banksy did an incredible piece of a prisoner kind of jumping over a fence, and he cut a video of his whole, executing it and put it to a Bob Ross explaining how to do a painting, and it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. Sign of the times. So good.
There was...
No, and I think that's, it links back to, we talk about street artists, just to kind of bring it back in a little bit. We saw iHeart dropping tomorrow, which would be Friday. And it's just like, just the street art movement, how you have, pieces that are easily, they're not there the next time the artist goes back sometimes, right? And so understanding that, and now being able to put that piece, on the blockchain, and it can't be erased ever, right? So and then actually be collected and traded makes it even more.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love like the ability also for collectors to sit there like across the world. There's a big discussion happening in the space about a lot of the economical costs in terms of like environmental, right? And it's a lot of like misconception, right? Like the Ethereum blockchain is like a train running regardless, right? And so you're just kind of putting like, like you could add on 1,000 pieces and it's the same electrical charge to move that, right?
Yeah.
And so like think about it. People's artwork, if that was physical, right? And $70 million piece has to get transferred, let's just say from UK to New York City. Pretty simple, right? But like, what's the team involved? Like, how much does the plane pollute? Like, what's the security measures in
You're
place?
bang on, man. You're bang on.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it too, like even the prints we create. I mean, look, there's environmental impact. We all need to be cognizant of it. We all need to try reduce our footprint. But at the same time, it's like sometimes the scale isn't exactly weighed correctly and the messaging isn't put out there. But like creating prints, it's like ink, paper moving here, physical labor of the person. Then once I put all the prints in tubes and then those getting shipped out, and how does it get shipped out? So to sort of, put a negative connotation towards NFTs from an environmental perspective seems a little bit, far-fetched for me. And even when you don't look at it as an art, but actually just cryptocurrency as a financial vehicle versus traditional finance, cryptocurrency is a minuscule fraction of all the financial instruments that are out there spinning with day traders and computers and high frequency trading, all that stuff. Those are massive data centers. I'm in the IT business outside of the art business. I actually sell cybersecurity solutions for one of the largest cybersecurity providers in the world. I know how big these data centers are, and it's finance is huge.
Yeah. It's, you can definitely speak to that more. I'm even thinking like twofold. One, like, are we saying that should nobody make art, right? Like, is like the ink and the paint too much of an economic impact? Is like the digital easel, too much economic impact, right? Like, at what point is like it just not a life worth living anymore, right? Like it's so hard to say. But then on top of that, right? Like, I personally think that like if the super rich don't coerce, right, cryptocurrency into their own wants and needs, right? Like cryptocurrency can be an uplifting thing for a lot of people, right? Like, Gemini right now has a 7% yield return if you put your coins into there, right? Like it varies coin to coin. I was looking into
this. Amazing. Where are you going to get a 7% return? Like,
where are you going to get a 1% return? Like, not even like a 7%. Where are you going to get a 1%? There, like, it's fractional at this point, right? Like, you're getting like 0.3%. So it's like to get your money to work for you, right? Like retirement accounts, like planning for your future. Yeah, you could hop in the market and you could just buy Bitcoin. But if you're going to buy Bitcoin anyway, like, why not make it work for you too? And then even if like the stable coins hit like that 7%, so then you're tied into like $1. Like I have a friend who works like highly into like the DeFi community. And so he's like really helped me to like get educated on it. I don't have enough money that the 7% really makes sense right now, but it's things planning for the future where like 7% compound interest, you can't beat it. Like that's game changing money for most people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, crypto has changed people's lives. I know people that, didn't have much to scratch together
Mm.
7 years ago, and now they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, from, investing in crypto early.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely late to the game, but I'm just excited to um, be go diving in with head first, jumping in with both feet into the space, and really stoked on coming out with some real quality work, coupled in collaboration with the roster of 5 artists we're starting with at Art Rapture in terms of our collective.
Mm.
And we think that they're bringing something fresh to the game. We've got diversity built into the business as well. So we've got your urban street artist, stencil artist, iHeart, world renowned. Then we've got this amazing uh, female force, Ola Volo, who's originally from Kazakhstan and now in Montreal, and spent a lot of time here in Vancouver, which is where we met. She's one of the biggest female muralists in all of North America.
Mm.
And her work is so unique and so different and really beautiful that fans love it. I've actually got this vase right here I've collected by her. So this was from one of our solo shows.
That's awesome,
right
man.
here.
I had pulled up the art too.
My light kind of screws up there, but and then we've got Woolhoo, who's a First Nations artist who lives right now in a place called Sunshine Coast, British Columbia.
Mm.
And man, in the NFT space, I haven't seen any First Nations art, and a lot of even Aboriginal First Peoples art from other parts of the world yet in NFT. And I think that's a massive opportunity, not only for the artists, but for the collectors.
Mm-hmm. How do you spell his name? I don't. I would
WUULHU.
Okay, I just want to pull that.
And that's his handle. That's his handle on Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Ola, iHeart, Woolhoo, Sean Jancy, young guy based in Vancouver here, really unique POV style. We're finding Unknown Origin. His stuff is just popping off. Like it's just wicked point of view work, brings in that pop art flavor, brings in sort of, nods to the greats like Hockney and Tom Vesselman, and this sort of sexy, cool, chic style. And then we've also got William D Higginson from Australia, who lives in Vancouver, who's a surrealist, one of the most talented, gifted, hardworking artists I've ever seen in my life. When you see his paintings in person, it's like, how did this guy even paint it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so incredible. And the one thing he has that most artists don't is this insatiable desire and drive to constantly be better tomorrow and the next day. And he's never satisfied, constantly trying to be better and better and better. Bill and I have been friends for probably like 8 years now. And I've seen his art evolve over those 8 years, and even over periods of months where it just gets tighter and better and more interesting. And I actually commissioned a piece from him a few months back called The Flying Dutchman. And I went and imported a frame from the United Kingdom, like really the gold, bodacious frame for this work of this ship sailing off the coast of South Africa. And that it's the story of this ghost ship, right? And it's just like the most magnificent work in my collection. I just can't get enough of it. So moody. It's just wonderful. So, big diverse collection of these 5 artists. We'll probably expand beyond that, but we're really dialed in and focused on these 5 right now to test the waters and see where we go with NFT. And we think we're here for the long run. And I think NFT is here for the long run. It is a frothy space right now, I'd say. But even if the froth dissipates, the cream will rise to the top, the dedication will be there, and the artists that commit are going to reap rewards from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's something that I've been talking to. So I have a couple thoughts, and I'm trying to remember them. So first off, I think the First Nation aspect is awesome. Something that I talked about with other artists so far is that, like, I really think, we see a lot of hatred in the world, and, like the attacks in like Atlanta, Georgia, right? Like that, those kinds of things. Like, mentally, my fiance is Chinese. And so, my children are most likely going to be, mixed. And so like I have her entire family that's going to be affected by that. For me, like, I feel like the same thing with any culture, like art can really bridge those gaps where you can see beauty and, like really see and educate, right? Like, well, what is that, right? And that's like the great thing about art, because it stimulates some kind of conversation in your head of like with yourself of, I didn't even know that existed, right? Like I pulled up some of his artworks, like I have to go back to those later on to really like figure out like, well, what actually is that, like where did it come from? Like I think that's amazing for
Hmm.
breaking down barriers, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer.
And hey, how cool is like NFT too, where it's like it's going to get viewed globally
Yeah.
so easily, whereas like in the traditional world of art, you've got to come to the gallery to see it.
Hmm.
And that, yeah, you might see an image online, but because being now converted to NFT, there's this um, vociferous demand to look at the art and acquire it in a digital space. So it just gets more recognition globally, which helps bridge even more gaps and bring more awareness out. And it's awesome. So you nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so as far as like, I mean, I think Art Rapture is amazing, right? Because like you get to basically be like a self curator in the space, and so you get to like work with people that you think are really talented, that you vibe with, right? Like, what's I guess like some of the issues that you face like coming to market from like the physical side of things, and then also from like the NFT, that hurdles that you guys have
Gas fees.
had. Yes, yes. I think that's everybody in the space. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of learning, right? And I like to call it research and development, burying our head into it. And Ryan Watson and I have, I reached out to Ryan when the NFT stuff came up, and because I know Ryan's been into crypto for a while, and I haven't been like hugely into crypto. It's always been on the periphery and a few investments here and there. And Ryan's like all in, and I I love the passion we both have, and this real desire of seeing the opportunity to help artists achieve what we feel is possible,
Mm,
but also provide collectors some exclusive, rare quality work that's not really seen in the market today. And the challenge, I'd say, is just the amount of time it takes to truly understand what the best route is or course of action is. So there's an abundance of stuff out there, and you can get discouraged quickly. So you can go on, different platforms where it's like, man, like the art's just not being shown properly. Like this just seems like a wet market of art.
mm,
And you're just like confused and you don't know what to do. And then you see some of the better platforms and you're like, well, how do I get on there?
mm,
And then it's like, honestly, as like a curator, when I'm reaching out to them, it's like, yeah, no, like artist only, right?
mm,
And that's cool. That's totally cool. But then it's like, how do I navigate that and work with the artists we help to help them navigate it as well?
mm.
And so it's a lot of research, development, navigation, understanding, and trying to fine tune the process quickly. And we feel that in this space, you got to move fast. You have to be able to pivot fast. And so those are some of the inherent challenges, like the speed in which it goes, and trying to find where you as an artist or you as a curator are going to be represented in the best light.
Mm.
And we believe we found that light with known origin.
Awesome. Yeah, I was actually gonna ask that. I guess, how did you, I think everybody needs to like find their niche in the space, right? And like build their own community, and like it's something that I've also talked about where like, the socials aspect is so key. But I guess like, do you, I don't want people to like just directly mimic you, right? But like, do you have advice for like people like starting out, or like best practices that you're willing to share maybe,
Yeah. Passion and drive. You got to not do it for the money. You got to do it because it's fun and it's exciting and you truly see the potential, and not to get discouraged. So you got to have that passion and that drive to go. Ryan and I, like, this isn't stuff I do full time. And when you think of like the physical world, I can't neglect the physical world either.
Mm,
So it's not like I can focus, a traditional, like, let's say 40-hour work week on NFT only because, you know, we're both dads and we both have jobs and I've got physical art that needs my curation and attention as well.
mhm,
But it's like you got to put in the hours.
mhm,
And Ryan and I have put in an astronomical amount of hours. Probably shout out to our wives for putting up with us and taking on a lot of additional responsibility while Ryan and I navigate and try to figure this thing out.
mm,
And we feel that starting quick, going hard at the beginning, allowed us to sort of see where we want to be and then be patient to get there, but continue to have that energy and passion to not let yourself get discouraged when you feel like you're hitting roadblocks.
mm. Yeah. I think that's definitely key. I think do you so I guess talking about like, art rapture and like the more physical space, like what's post COVID world, right? Like I'm hopeful that everything is gonna bounce back to normal, but post COVID world, like what's the game plan for you guys like trying to interweave some of this into some of the physical?
Oh man, too many ideas to talk about in the time slot we got, but we're definitely not neglecting the physical space. So I've got a solo show with William D Higginson's wife Olga Rybalko coming up in June in Vancouver. Obviously, it'll have like social distancing and stuff like that, so it's not my usual like big fuck off party with huge DJs and drinks flowing and wicked art and sweaty bodies and stuff like that. It's going to be a little more spaced out. But then next year, if COVID's gone, we want to do another big show. So I haven't done a massive show since 2017.
Okay.
And I want like a comeback crazy huge event because I've been focused on more solo exhibitions and fostering some artist careers since 2017. And now it's like, I want to bring it back together, get some international talent. We're looking at bringing in Peachy Avo for a mural in Vancouver, along with a big show. Peachy Avo is a duo of artists coming out of Valencia, Spain. Really cool, like Greco-Roman classicism in their art mixed with graffiti. And it's just absolutely hot. And I'd love to see them here in Vancouver. Nothing's confirmed because, we had confirmation, but it's COVID kind of threw a wrench and everything. So yeah, we want to do big shows. We want to tie it in. And then it's like, how do you tie in the NFT stuff? Ryan and I have a lot of ideas around that. You're already seeing some artists do it in the space where it's trying to find ways to bridge NFT collection with physical collections so that the collector can have both, or maybe has an option of one or the other, and then like another opportunity to maybe have both, or only certain people can have both. A whole bunch of different things tied into it. That's going to require a little more research and development on our side, but the opportunities are like endless in this space. And my artists love it because of that too. It's like when you paint, you need to think like, is anyone going to buy this painting? Like, I got to spend how many weeks making this painting? But in the digital space, you have the option of sampling more and being a little more creative and testing yourself more than you would in the physical world. So, that part's really interesting too.
Yeah. So while you were talking, I wanted to showcase also the Flying Dutchman. I didn't want to do it while you were talking, but I pulled up the Flying Dutchman just so that way people could see it. And like, holy shit, man! Like that piece is amazing. And then you had
one by William D Higginson.
Yes. I
yeah, man, that's the pride of my collection right now. Along with this massive like Stuart Stevenson, and then you'll see a Sean Jancy and my treadmill right there.
Awesome. I mean, working out in style, right? What are
you need a little something easy on the eyes, and I'll try to turn my camera here, but I got an iHeart original right there called When It Rains, Pour Me Another. And I think a lot of us have felt like that some days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. What's the baseball bats? I have to ask. I'm seeing those. They look super awesome too.
So I got two by the Grominator here and one by Takasudo. These are custom done for Art Rapture. So this one actually says on it, Art Rapture.
That's awesome, man.
Okay. And then it's a nod to me, so it says Prof X on there for the whole Patrick Stewart vibe going on. And then this one is rad. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a company called Bardell Entertainment in Vancouver, and they're actually the animators behind Rick and Morty, that cult classic. And I got a bat done by this dude Grominator, and he did his own like Rick and Morty on here.
That's awesome.
It's just absolutely gnarly. I've had a lot of people ask if they can acquire this from me, and the answer is hell no.
That's awesome. Yeah, that thing is fire. So you mentioned like doing things in person, and I'm just spitballing, and I guess like what do you think happens in the space, but like in terms of like physical, right? Like say you do like a 50-50 physical. My brain right now is sitting there going, all right, like QR code, find it on the blockchain, have like a live bidding thing during the show, right? Like allow people to like pull it up, do it on a credit card or whatever, right? Like, hey, we'll settle this later on. Like, this is, something that you're going to be, let's say it's a really expensive piece, right? Like 60,000, 100,000, right? And upward. Okay, like you're going to be responsible for this, so understand it, right? But like you scan the QR code, that brings you into like either an app or like something else to bid with. And the other thing is like, I've noticed, I know friends who like drop ship things from China and stuff, right? And so people, you can order it for like one piece, but it takes like 3 weeks, and people are like, no, I got my money, I want it now. And so I'm imagining like 100 print run of, the infinite objects or something similar, like whatever's out at that point,
Mhm.
pre-ordered, and then put out as like display pieces, and that way people don't have to wait for the piece to get made and shipped out to them. It's like a purchasable. You get the NFT on the blockchain, and you walk out of there with the infinite object. That to me like is like a no brainer. Like it just hits all the I want it now, like immediate need of things.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I'm like, maybe we got a spot for you at Art Rapture.
I'm down to help. I'll help out as needed.
We could use some representation in New York.
I mean, that's the next question is, okay, let's hit that question. The next question, if you want to lead into it, is like, what's the game plan long term? Because yeah, I mean, dude, New York, like at post COVID world, everything's happy, hunky dory, whatever. But like, this is something where you could go on tour with, the traveling, you know, acts of different artists and really put on a show that's pretty awesome all across, America, Canada, and globally.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, that's dream state world, but there's always realities in life, and there's only so many hours in the day. So, when thinking of sort of traveling shows and stuff like that, that's a big commitment from my time. And I'm a committed dad to my kids, and I don't want to be away much. So, it's the company would have to evolve to a degree where there's enough revenue to hire a lot of staff.
Mm.
And in order to do that, to like build it out and have a traveling show, I think for now, where we kind of see Art Rapture is physical awesome shows in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit closer to home. I'm in Vancouver. Continue to reach the global market with high quality physical prints, highly collectible work, and then also that global space with NFTs, and then finding ways to like really marry the gap between the physical and digital, which you alluded to. One of the other parts of Art Rapture that's really important to understand is that we're not all about selling art, and finding collectors and helping artists. We want to build a collection.
Mhm.
So we're taking a fair bit of any profits we make and going out and acquiring art. And for now we're kind of using our walls as housing areas, but the goal and hope is that we can build a collection to be reckoned with in the Pacific Northwest and be true patrons of the art, because it's really that passion we have for art that allows us to do what we can do. But I'm just as much an addict as the other art collector to buy art.
Mhm.
And like literally this my wife's name's Lauren, and I see this Lauren call me on my phone, and I text my wife, I'm like, sorry, I'm on a conference call, I can't take it. And I was like, oh shoot, that's actually Lauren from so and so gallery. I'm trying to see if this Andy Dixon painting is available. And she's like, no more paintings. But like I love art so much. I'm so passionate about artwork, and I really, when I look at like my future and where I want to be, you can always make more money.
Mm.
You can always make more money, but opportunities to collect great art don't always come around.
Mhm.
And my goal and hope is that I can hand down a collection to my daughters that is something that is a force to be reckoned with in this part of the world. And that is what motivates me and pumps me to just take it to the next level and never give up.
Yeah, man. Dude, that's like, I mean, that's awesome, and it really shows that you're coming from like a good place. I'm just coming from like a marketing side of things, so it's I mean, formerly marketing side of things. Now a little bit different, but just like how to make things work. But yeah, I mean, the purist side of things is really interesting to hear about, because I'm so new to like the entire space. Like I grew up, I mean, whatever. None of it really showcased here, but like, I mean, that's like I just grew up playing sports, man. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have like a lot of artistic drive or create. I'm semi creative, but like not in like an art sense of the word, right?
Hmm.
And so to me, like all this is new, and like I almost feel like I missed out on like part of my childhood, right? Like where like like when I was like 5 and 10, like I colored and shit like that, but like making art is amazing, and yeah, like I could start now, and that's totally valid, but like it would almost be like I'm gonna get picked on by like the 10-year-old who's had the and I know it's not all about that, but for me, like I get a little too obsessive. I just don't have time to really pick up an easel and start painting and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. I think all of us have the creativity in us. I'm the same way. Like my creativity comes out in the curation process, but like I'm not great at putting pen to paper or paint to canvas, right? But I think if we all practiced, we'd get there. And there's something inside us as human beings in our DNA that allows us to communicate through art. I do need to be cognizant of the time here, so I probably should wrap up pretty quick. Anything else that you've got as like a question for me before we kind of do our conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, I like to close out always with, what's your purpose in life? That's always my fun one.
Yeah, what's my purpose in life? My purpose is to make the world a better place through art.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And it seems like you're doing it, bro. It like,
Thanks, man.
yeah, I mean, I got to settle through all the links of your team and stuff, and I'll include everybody's artwork. But I mean, you got quite a team, and I hope that you guys can be a curation standpoint, that you guys pull in other people and uplift other people. Like people go to you because, okay, like this is like the good management team, and like they can really help us from a curation standpoint. And yeah, I mean that's my hope.
I think it's totally possible, right? And I think, a couple last things. I want to thank you for reaching out to us and setting this up, and thank Ryan, who unfortunately, couldn't get the video and audio while he's helping his friend renovate a cabin in northern Quebec. But giving us the platform to have a chat about this, super exciting, and makes things real relevant and real for us in the NFT space. We're seeing great activity from our collectors on Known Origin. For all of you out there, if you're watching this on March 18th, on March 19th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, I Heart drops Nobody Likes Me, the image there with the boy crying, no likes, no followers, no comments. We've done some crypto versions with no Bitcoin, no Ether, no Doge, and some traditional versions, some animated, some 2D still. And we're just stoked for this featured drop with Known Origin. iHeart was trending #1 out of all the artists on Known Origin yesterday. I imagine that'll be the same tomorrow when the drop comes out. So just amazing. Follow us. We're not even close to taking off. The launch pad, we're there. The countdown's happening right now, but the engines haven't even started yet. And we're going to the moon, and the next stop is Neptune.
Yeah, man. Dude, I pulled up the pieces. I love the pieces. I'm super excited for you. I'll be, liking, retweeting, and following along. And like I said to everybody, man, 6 months to a year, if any of the artists change their mind, if, any of them decide to not be anonymous and stuff, that's totally fine. We'll run it back, have them on, talk about some success and stuff,
Love it. Savage Talks, man.
Yeah, man.
Love it, dude. Thanks for reaching out. Chat soon, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Sweetness. Bye-bye.